Feel free to be whoever you want to be. Feel free to dance, feel free to sing, just feel free. Feels like the world is picking on ya.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Two Tone Talk Podcast, episode 14. And here we are, folks. We are a mere day away from pretty much the entire season. No, literally, the entire season. You know the deal. It is win or go home. It is playoff bound or home bound for the Tennessee Titans tomorrow night at 8:15 Eastern, 7:15 Central. The Tennessee Titans and the Jacksonville Jaguars going to get it on in Jacksonville for the AFC South title. And after all that we've seen, after all that we've been through, it all comes down to this: the red hot Jags versus the ice cold Titans. And we will see if the Titans can pull off something that they have not pulled off since the middle of November, and that is winning a football game. It is exciting, but it's a weird kind of exciting because, I'm going to be honest with you, it's hard to get excited about a team that has lost 6 games in a row. It is hard to get excited about a team that, hasn't experienced victory, like I said, since the middle of November on that Thursday night in Green Bay. The Titans have not experienced a victory since then. And I've said it before, I have forgotten what it feels like to win. I have forgotten what it feels like to wake up the day after a game knowing that the Titans won. I am live on YouTube right now. Also, if you're streaming this on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple, other platforms, I appreciate that. But I am live on YouTube right now, where Will Dotson in the chat says there are a lot of other podcast hosts that are rooting for a Titans loss. You know, I ranted and raved about it this past Monday. I do episodes every Monday and Friday. On Monday's episode, I ranted about the idea that there are people, Titans fans, who actively want the Titans to lose this game so that they can have a better draft pick. I've said all I can say about that. If you want to hear my thoughts on that, you can go listen to Monday's episode. Let me get a sip of coffee. But I'll let my thoughts be known about that. Needless to say, I will be rooting for a Titans victory tomorrow night. I want the Titans to go to the playoffs. I don't care what you think they're going to do in the playoffs. I don't care, what the most likely outcome is. I want the Titans in the playoffs. So, there's that. We're going to talk about Titans, Jags. But I do want to start off the show today. Every sports show you watch is starting off with this. I haven't done an episode since Monday morning/afternoon, so I haven't had a chance to talk about this. You all know what I'm getting at. The situation from Monday night. The Bills-Bengals game was supposed to be one of the biggest games of the year. Huge matchup, 2 of the best. And like all of you, I settled in Monday night to just enjoy the game. And you know what happened with Damar Hamlin, the situation there. I will say it was the scariest thing that I've ever seen. Watching a football game or any sporting event, it was the scariest thing I've ever seen. I hope I never have to see it again. As football fans, we are used to seeing things that are hard to see. I mean, we're used to seeing guys break a leg. I mean, it's unfortunate, but we see guys break bones all the time. We see guys with torn ACLs. We see guys, the situation with Tua from earlier this season, that was hard to watch. But I've never been sitting there watching a football game and have to be told by the announcer that they are performing CPR on the field for one of the players, a 24-year-old kid. That's just not what you tune in expecting. That's not something you expect to hear on a football game or any other sporting event for that matter. So it was the scariest thing I've ever seen. I've been, I've been praying for Damar like crazy, just like the rest of you. And I am just thrilled to see the good reports that are coming out of that situation. Yesterday, waking up and having the ability to communicate with the doctors via, he still had the breathing tube in so he couldn't speak, but with the writing down, asking who won the game. So that tells you that he's there mentally and has regained the use of his, not regained, he never lost, thank God, but he still has control of his hands and everything. That's incredible. And then today, being able to FaceTime with his team, I just think that is just, this was a guy that when he was laying on that field Monday night, I think we all assumed the worst. It's hard not to go there when you're witnessing what we witnessed. So to see these positive reports, I mean, just thank God. And thank God for healthcare workers and people who were there to perform CPR on this guy immediately. They had to do CPR twice, I believe, once on the field and then once, I believe, in the ambulance or when he got to the hospital, somewhere along those lines. And things are looking up for him. I'm not going to say he's totally out of the woods, but the fact that he's awake and he's communicating and things like that, that's just a great sign. And, I want to say this. Obviously, we all have our teams. We all have our, we're all fans of our teams and whatever. But it's been so great to watch the football community, as, of course, the players and the coaches, but as fans too, to see us all come together and root for this guy and kind of rally around that. That's been a great thing to see, in my opinion. I already respected these guys, but so much respect for Sean McDermott and Zach Taylor. I thought they just handled the whole thing as well as anybody possibly could. And, to see the reaction of the players in that moment, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and, the Bills players, but I feel like the Bills players were the ones that the cameras were on, but I'm sure the Bengals players were devastated as well. And to see the leadership that they showed, I mean, it's just, a lot of respect for everybody that goes out there and puts their body on the line for the game of football. And so that, we have something to talk about and, be entertained by. And so I'm thrilled with the updates on Damar Hamlin. That being said, as I said, it was one of the scariest things I've ever seen. And I it was tough. It was tough to watch. But to see people that have donated so much to his GoFundMe, it's just millions of dollars. I think they said the original goal was $2,500 and now it's up to millions. It's just, it's moving. It's a reminder that not everybody in society is horrible and that there's still good people out there wanting to do good things. And it's just amazing. It's amazing to see. And I hate the situation that brought it on, but I am, it is heartwarming to see all the acts of love and gratitude out there, but also to see him getting well and improving. That's just amazing. So still praying for Damar Hamlin. I know you guys are too. Terrible situation to have to watch, but I'm glad he is just getting better and better every day. A miracle. Total miracle. And again, can't say enough about the people that saved this kid's life. I mean, CPR immediately on the field and then out, in the ambulance, I believe. It's just, those people are heroes. And I know that Damar will be eternally grateful to them. Some people in the chat today on YouTube. Brody says, love the podcast. Thank you very much, Brody. B Ravens 1 says, so happy Hamlin is okay. Jets benched Mike White for Joe Flacco. Dolphins are apparently playing Skylar Thompson. I'll talk about that game in a little bit. And then Will Dotson chimes in with, I'm glad I stumbled upon your podcast. I love the honesty you allow us to tell the truth about our Titans without being told you're a fake fan by other commenters. Yeah, appreciate it. I appreciate everybody that listens, whether you're listening on YouTube, Spotify, or any of the rest. Okay, Titans-Jags, Week 18, tomorrow night. I want to say thank you to 92.5 FM /1010 XL radio in Jacksonville, Florida. If you remember a couple of weeks ago on the show, there was a fella named Ryan Green in the chat, and he is obviously a big-time Jaguars fan, and he had some things to say. And turns out he is host Sports Talk in Jacksonville, Hacker After Dark, and he asked me to come on, and so I was thrilled to go on for an interview with him a couple of nights ago on radio in Jacksonville, Florida. That full interview is up on my YouTube channel. You can hear that. Get to hear some things from the Jags' point of view, the Titans' point of view, kind of talking about the game, each of our teams. I appreciate the opportunity to go over there and be a part of that show. Thank you very much to Ryan and 92.5 FM /1010 XL radio. Tomorrow night, the Titans and the Jags. So, let's talk about Treylon Burks. The situation is Treylon apparently hurt his groin in some way on Wednesday, I believe it was, at practice. And he has officially been listed as questionable for the game tomorrow night. Let me say this. We need Treylon Burks. We absolutely need Treylon Burks in this game. No ifs, ands, or buts. You can say it's already going to be hard to win. It's going to be 10 times harder if we don't have Treylon Burks on the offense. He is by far our best wide receiver. I mean, it's just not even close. So the good news is Mike Vrabel said yesterday that he thinks that Treylon's going to be fine. And they held him out of practice yesterday kind of as a precaution is what it sounded like to me. So I'm expecting Treylon Burks to play in this game. I am. I think it's a huge game. You need your big-time guys in these situations, and I know he's a rookie, and I know it's hard to classify him as a big-time guy right now because he's been so in and out of the lineup. But you got to have him, and this is a huge game. And, you know, I think that if I'm going by what Mike Vrabel said yesterday, he thinks he's going to be fine. So I'm expecting Treylon to play. As far as other injuries, I'm very disappointed that David Long was not activated from IR. Now, if the Titans make the playoffs, they can still bring David Long or Kyle Phillips back for the playoffs. But I was expecting David Long to be brought back for this game, and it just doesn't look like that. Well, it's just not going to happen. I mean, he wasn't even designated to return. So that's disappointing. Like many of you, I was expecting David Long back for this game, but it's not going to happen. That's tough. It's very tough. Only one player ruled out on the roster, and that is cornerback Devontae Harris. He's ruled out. And then you have a number of guys who have been deemed questionable. I obviously already mentioned Treylon Burks, but also Dylan Cole, which is significant with no David Long, obviously no Zach Cunningham. You really, whoever would have thought we would say this, you really need Dylan Cole, him and Dr. Gibby. But Dylan Cole has been deemed questionable. Christian Fulton, who I don't even remember the last time he played, I think it was the Eagles game, he has been deemed questionable. Nicholas Petit-Frere, starting right tackle, also questionable. Now, I want to make it clear that I expect every single one of these questionable players to play. I think, you have to say that certain players are questionable because I think, it's literally if there's even a chance that somebody may not go, the safest bet is to just say they're questionable, because I don't think you can say, this guy's for sure going to play, and then something crazy happened and their injury gets worse somehow and they can't play. I don't think you can do that. So a lot of these guys, I'm just going to choose to believe that it's Mike Vrabel taking the safe bet and saying, hey, we're going to say they're questionable just to be on the safe side, but Christian Fulton, NPF, Dylan Cole, Traylon Burks, I expect every single one of those guys to play tomorrow night. This is a huge game. You have to have all hands on deck. So I expect every single one of those guys to play, and I would be shocked if they didn't. Amani Hooker also. Amani Hooker is another guy that is questionable. And I got to say, it's concerning to me to see Amani Hooker, who they paid a ton of money in the offseason, and he might have missed more games this year than he played. Christian Fulton, who they were hoping could be corner number one, he's missed a lot of games this year. And, I think that's tough. Obviously, Harold Landry is another guy that they paid a ton of money, and we know what the situation is with him. I'm not going to harp on that too much, but in the situation of Fulton and Hooker, I saw somebody on Twitter, say this yesterday, and I agree. The best ability is availability. And right now, it feels like guys like Amani Hooker and Christian Fulton and Bud Dupree and Zach Cunningham, these are guys that are out more than they're in. And yet another reason why whenever the offseason begins for the Titans, whether that's tomorrow night or whenever, if they do make the playoffs and whatever, it's going to be an interesting offseason on both sides of the ball. We know offensively there are a lot of questions about the quarterback position, the offensive line, wide receiver. We have a ton of questions about offense, but defensively, I'm looking at that inside linebacker position. David Long, he's been hurt. Zach Cunningham, I don't expect him back. Dylan Cole, do you want to elevate his role? I don't know. But the Titans are going to, need some help there. They're going to probably want to create a little more something in the secondary. If they're, going to cut ties with Bud Dupree, which I think they should. You're looking at outside linebacker, edge rush. You're looking at that kind of stuff. So there's going to be a lot to sort out with the Titans and this new GM, whoever they are. They're going to have some big decisions to make with Mike Vrabel when they show up in town. And speaking of that, I don't want to talk too much about the offseason yet because I want to save that for when the offseason begins and we can use an episode to talk about that. But, talking about the quarterback position, there's so much to sort through with free agents and trades. And it's not just the quarterback position, it's every position. And then you got to think about Derrick Henry. Does he still want to be in Nashville? Are you going to continue, to make that your identity? Is that what the new GM's going to want? I don't know. A lot of questions to answer. But these guys' health, guys like Amani Hooker, guys like Christian Fulton, guys that you really need in the lineup that are repeatedly not in the lineup, that's a concern going forward. When those guys are in there, yes, you get production and they play pretty well, but they're not in there a lot. So it's like I said, the best ability is availability. And so we'll see what comes of those guys. For tomorrow night, I expect them to play. I want to reiterate, I expect Amani Hooker, Christian Fulton, NPF, Dylan Cole, and Traylon Burks. I expect all of them to play. This is winning in. This is winning in. If you're not going to play now, when are you going to play? If this isn't a big enough position for you to just go out there and play, what are we waiting for? So the question is, what do the Titans got to do to beat the Jags? You could argue that one of the Titans' worst performances of this season was in their first game against the Jaguars. The Eagles game, the Bills game. I forgot about the Bills game. That Bills game was the worst. But the Eagles game was bad. But you look at games like the Bengals game, they lost by 4. The Chargers game, they lost by 3. The Cowboys game, They didn't hardly play any of the starters. The Texans game, they lost by 5. So, in terms of worst performances of the season, Bills, Eagles, Jags. Those 3 games to me stand out. Bills the worst, and then the Eagles second. But the thing about that Jags game is that at that time, the Jags were coming off of a 40-14 loss to the Detroit Lions. Everybody goes with this notion like the Jags have just been building momentum all year. No, when they played the Titans the first time, the Jags came into that game 4-8, coming off of a butt whooping to the Detroit Lions. They got trounced by the Lions. That's what happened the week before they played the Titans last time. And the game was in Nashville. And let me give you a little refresher on what happened in that game. The Titans turned the ball over 4 times in that game. 4 times. I think I know 2 were on Derrick Henry. 1 was a fumble by him, and then 1 was they were trying to do a direct snap, and he dropped the snap, and the Jags recovered it. And then 1 was a Tannehill interception, and I think the 4th one, I'm trying to remember what the 4th one was. It may have been like a punt return fumbled or something. But the turnovers were a big factor last time. I thought the game against the Jags was probably the Titans' worst, other than the Bills, the Titans' worst defensive performance really of the season. I mean, they just looked lost in that first Jags game. And so as I look to tomorrow night and I say, okay, what do the Titans got to do tomorrow night in order to accomplish something that they haven't done since the middle of November, and that is winning a football game for all the marbles here, to go to the playoffs, to go to the postseason? What do they have to do? First of all, you have to acknowledge there's a new quarterback. I don't think any of us, when the Titans played the Jags the first time, I don't think any of us were thinking about Josh Dobbs. I don't think any of us were thinking about, like, I said this on my interview that I did on Jacksonville Sports Talk Radio. Said I haven't thought about Josh Dobbs since he played for the Tennessee Volunteers. Like, I haven't thought about Josh Dobbs since he threw that Hail Mary against Georgia. Getting a sip of coffee here. And now, he's leading my Tennessee Titans into their most important game of the year. Football's weird. We haven't seen a lot. We haven't seen a lot of Josh Dobbs as a starting quarterback in the NFL. He has started 1 game in his career, and it was last Thursday night against Dallas with a lot of starters out against a very good Dallas team. As I said before, I thought Dobbs was pretty good in that game. He made some nice throws, had an interception, had a fumble, had a couple of bad reads. You know, you can nitpick it, but overall, I do still believe he's the best option for us right now. And the calling card, because I was asked, when I went on Jacksonville Sports Radio a couple nights ago, I was asked, what are Titans fans viewing as, this is our hope for this game? This is how we can win. And the answer that I gave was very predictable, but it's just the correct answer. If you're a Titans fan tuning into this game and you're looking for a path to Titans victory, you don't need to overthink it. It's the exact same path to Titans victory that we've been watching for the last 4 years. Derrick Henry is going to have to remind the Jaguars who their daddy is. He's going to be on fresh legs. He's had a week off. They said he was out with a hip injury last week. He was not out with a hip injury. He was out resting. Okay? He's going to have to come in there and he's going to have to put on a show. He is going to have to do something to the Jags that he has done to them many times in the past. He's going to have to show them who Daddy is. He's going to have to tell them Daddy's back home. You've had a good little run here, but Daddy's home, and it's time for the kids to stop acting up. You know what that's like? You know when you're a kid and you're home with your siblings or something and you're acting up and you're getting all like feisty and running around the house and knocking stuff over and messing stuff up, and then all of a sudden you hear dad come pulling up in the parking lot, and you're like, oh my god, we're screwed. We're screwed. We messed up. We thought that we were running this house, and now dad's home, and now we're gonna get in trouble now. And then you get in trouble. That's what Derrick Henry's got to do to the Jaguars tomorrow night. Now listen. I love you Jags fans. I love my friend Ryan there that had me on radio the other night. But these Jags fans, man, let's be honest. They've been coming out of the woodwork for the last month, okay? I mean, I didn't think Jags fans even existed anymore. And now all of a sudden, I mean, they just showing up out of nowhere. There was a live chat the other night on the radio show I was on. You had fans, I'm not kidding you guys, there were fans in there saying that the Jags are about to run this league. That's what they said. They said the Jags are about to run this league. Trevor Lawrence is about to be the best quarterback in the league. Knowing the dude that wears number 15 in Kansas City. Knowing the dude that wears number 17 in Buffalo. Knowing the dude that wears number 9 in Cincinnati. Is it number 9? Yeah, Burrow's number 9. Knowing Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia. Herbert in L.A. Lamar in Baltimore. Knowing all of these guys exist. Man, they're getting big and bold. They say Trevor Lawrence is about to be the best. Number 1. Better than all of them. The Jags are about to run this league. They're going to run this division. That's what they were saying. And they weren't kidding, man. They believe it. They don't just believe that they are going to... I'm listing all these quarterbacks that wear these different numbers. Somebody in the chat said, knowing the dude that wears number 11 in Nashville. That's the kind of fan we need right there. Just, Josh Dobbs is going to be the best quarterback in the world. Will Dotson, you have a good point. The Titans gave him life in the first place. The Titans had this division wrapped up and they let the Jags creep back up. But anyway, back to what I was saying. They believe it, guys. They don't just believe that the Jags are going to beat the Titans tomorrow night. They believe that the Jags are going to go to the playoffs and are going to make a run. They're going to go to Buffalo. They're going to go to KC. They'll go to Cincinnati if they need to. They're going to beat all these guys, and they're going to go get a title. They believe it. I'm telling you. It's not just they're trying to troll or they're trying to joke around. No, they believe it's going to happen. And they believe it's going to happen next year and the next year. They believe they're about to take this thing over. And I didn't even know Jags fans existed. And now all of a sudden, here they come. The kids have gotten out of control in the house. Dad's been away. And the kids have gotten out of control. Tomorrow night, about 8:15 Eastern, 7:15 Central, Daddy's going to come rolling up in the parking lot. He's going to put on his number 22 jersey. He's going to hold the football high and tight so that he don't fumble like he has been doing for the last month. And he's going to march out onto that field, and he's going to have to remind the Jags who Daddy is, and he's going to have to let them know Daddy's home. He's going to have to let them know it's time to stop acting up. It's time to clean your room. It's time to do the dishes. It's time to make up your bed. It's time to clean out your locker. It's time to make your thanks for a great season tweets. And it's time to go home until August. That's what he's going to have to do. If you want to beat these Jags tomorrow night, and I'm being serious, Derrick Henry's going to have to go in there and do what he does to the Jags. Remember, the first time against the Jags, he was on his way. He was on his way to having a good game till he started fumbling. And then in the second half, Todd Downing, an imbecile, stopped giving him the ball, but that's another story for another time. But he's going to have to be your guy. He's going to be your guy. And then Dobbs, we just need you to make some nice throws, get Traylon involved, get Chig involved. We're not asking too much of you. We have the worst offensive line in history, so we're not going to ask you to do too much. We just want you to game manage, make the nice throws when they're there, hand the ball to 22. And then this defense is going to have to play a heck of a lot better than they played the first time against Jacksonville. We're going to play a lot better. We're going to need guys getting after Trevor Lawrence. We're going to need Big Jeff after a week of rest just causing destruction in the middle of the field. We're going to need Danico Autry, who I don't think played last time against the Jags. We're going to need him going crazy. We're going to need Tier Tart in the middle of the field going crazy. We're going to need Dr. Gibby. We're going to need all these guys. We're going to need KB back there making some big plays. We're going to have to get some turnovers of our own. Great game. That's the path to victory, guys. Don't overthink it. It sounds like the most obvious thing in the world, but this is how it's going to have to be. Henry, defense. Boom. And somebody had a good point in the chat. When the Jags beat the Titans last time, you remember seeing Trevor Lawrence out there? You remember seeing Trevor Lawrence out there looking like the main character from a surfing movie on Disney Channel in the 2000s? He came out there. He said, bye-bye. That's what he did. He came out on the field. He waved at the crowd. He said, bye-bye. Bye-bye. That's what he did. That's what he did. I hope Mike Vrabel plays that film in a locker room on repeat. Trevor Lawrence. Bye, everybody. See y'all. I hope Jeffrey Simmons, Danico Autry, all these guys, I hope they have that video in their locker tomorrow night just playing on repeat. And then you go out there, you take care of your business, and then when you walk off the field, you can say bye for real because they're going home if they lose, okay? There is an outside chance that they could still be a wild card team even if they lose, but it probably ain't going to happen. They're going home if they lose. Now, I say all of this fully understanding that the Jaguars are good. They got momentum. They're red hot. They're feeling good about themselves. I get it. Trevor Lawrence, he does look good. But, you know, Daddy's home tomorrow night. I hope. I hope this dude comes out there and reminds him who the daddy is. So, let's look at the rest of these Week 18 games. Now, I understand because of the Damar Hamlin situation, playoff stuff in the AFC is crazy. Because, you know, they're not going to make up the game. And, you know, it's just one of those things where there's going to be, like, potentially a neutral field on in the AFC title game. And there's all kinds of stuff going on. But with that being said, I'm going to take a look at the games for the weekend, the final week of the regular season. You can't see it on Spotify or anything, but I'm lifting up my coffee to give a toast to Week 18. And here we go. The first game tomorrow, Chiefs-Raiders. Important game because the Chiefs, I think right now, they got the, like, you win and you get the first round bye because of how things went with the Bills-Bengals game. I expect the Chiefs to win, although I think it will be closer than people think. Because the Chiefs, they've been winning close in all their games. The Chiefs have been like, they ain't been exactly whooping anybody. They're winning by 3, 4, 5 points. And I think it'll be another one of those. But I do think the Chiefs will beat the Raiders. And take that number 1 seed and get a week off. Which, to be fair, regardless of how things would have turned out in that Bills-Bengals game, I had the Chiefs getting the number 1 seed anyway. So, tomorrow night, Titans-Jags. We'll save that one for last. Let's move on to Sunday. Bucks-Falcons, meaningless game. The Bucks are locked into the 4 seed. Falcons probably need to lose to get a better draft spot. And let me say this. I don't mind rooting for your team to lose to get a better draft spot if they're already eliminated from playoff contention and have no hope of making the playoffs. If you're in that situation, then by all means, root for your team to lose to get a better draft spot. That's what the Falcons need to do tomorrow. Bucks say they're playing their starters. I kind of get it because Brady and Evans really established some momentum last week in the game against Carolina, and you'd like to continue that. So I don't think the Bucs starters will play the entire game, but I think they will play maybe a half. Bucs probably win. Bucs probably win this game, and this will be the finale for the Atlanta Falcons for this year, and we'll see what moves they make in the offseason. If you've been listening to the podcast, you know my personal belief is that Ryan Tannehill will be an Atlanta Falcon next year. I'm staying on that bandwagon. Tannehill to Atlanta. Patriots Bills. This is a huge game in the AFC. Because, first of all, should the Chiefs lose, the Bills can grab the 1 seed with a win here. So that's important. But also, and the way this is shaken out, this is huge because the Patriots are in a win and in situation. If the Patriots win this game, they are the 7th seed in the AFC, right? And it's interesting because the Chiefs are playing on Saturday, which really screws things up for teams like the Dolphins and the Steelers, the other teams waiting in the wings to see what the Patriots do. Because you got to think, if the Chiefs go out and take care of business on Saturday against the Raiders, and they lock up that 1 seed, do the Bills, knowing that they have no chance of getting the 1 seed, do the Bills set back and say, hey, well, we're going to rest some guys. We're going to rest some guys against the Patriots, making it easier for the Patriots to win this game. I think that's a possibility. Now, with everything that's happened with Damar Hamlin and the way the Bills, it's been a horrible week for them, obviously. Maybe they look at this no matter what happens with Kansas City, and they say, hey, we're playing to win because of this Damar Hamlin situation, maybe. But I would say there's a chance if the Chiefs take care of business on Saturday, maybe the Bills say, all right, well, we're going to hold some guys out because we can't get the 1 seed anyway, so we're going to hold some guys out, which would favor the Patriots maybe sneaking up and getting a win here and getting in the playoffs. But if the Raiders upset the Chiefs, the Bills are definitely playing to win because then they can get the number 1 seed. So very interesting here, but the Patriots either way, they're in a win and in situation. If they have to play the Bills starters, I absolutely think they're not going to win. If the Bills play their backups, the Patriots have a shot. But I still don't think the Patriots are that good. So I think the Patriots would even struggle against the Bills backups. But this is a tough one. I'm going to go with the Bills. It's in Buffalo. And after the Damar Hamlin thing in Buffalo, I think it's going to be a special atmosphere in that stadium for this game. And it just feels like a Bills victory to me. Backups or starters. And the more I think about it, being at home after the Damar Hamlin thing, I would say the Bills are probably going to go with their starters either way, given the circumstances. Give me the Bills. Vikings, Bears, it really doesn't matter, except for the fact that the Bears, the Bears need to lose because of their draft position. The Bears are going to be toward the top of the draft. They don't need a quarterback, so they're going to be open to trading back. That's going to be interesting. Give me the Vikings over the Bears in a boring game because the Vikings are probably going to go with their backups. Ravens-Bengals. This game not nearly as interesting as it was going to be because there was a good chance that this game was going to be for the AFC North. Because of how things have gone, the Bengals have now clinched the AFC North. And so we know Lamar Jackson's not playing in this game. And if I'm a Ravens fan, I'm beginning to get concerned about that for the playoffs because I don't remember the last time I watched Lamar Jackson play football. He doesn't even practice. I don't remember the last time he even practiced. Bengals maybe resting some guys as well, knowing that they've kind of got things locked up. So, on that note, I'm going with I'll go with the Bengals in Cincinnati again after the Damar Hamlin situation. Could have kind of a special atmosphere in Cincinnati too. So I'll go Bengals over Ravens, but this game really doesn't matter too much. Against the Ravens, they could move up to a 5 instead of a 6 seed, but 6 one way, half dozen the other. Texans Colts. Again, only an important game because of draft position. Right now, Houston should probably actively try to win to lose this game, unless if they lost or if they won rather, they'd be 3-13-1. Okay, so there is still a chance the Bears could jump them. So the Texans need to actively try to lose this game. Because if not, the Bears could jump them in the draft, and then the Texans might not get Bryce Young in that situation. So the Texans just need to flat out throw this game. Don't know if they will. It's two terrible teams. Ultimately, I'll go with the Colts getting a win. And, there's that. Jets-Dolphins. Could be a big game. It's interesting because if the Patriots lose, the Dolphins are the next team up to take that spot. But the Dolphins are having to go in with Skylar Thompson at quarterback. The Jets are starting Flacco. This is probably going to be an ugly game. It's in Miami. I initially picked the Dolphins to win this game and get the last playoff spot. But, man, I don't know. Because assuming, let's assume the Patriots lose. Now the Dolphins are in a win and in situation, but man, the Jets do have a pretty good defense. Can you get enough from Skylar Thompson to overcome that? I don't know. I'm actually going to go with the Jets. Now this is a meaningless game for the Jets. They're already eliminated, but I'm going to go with the Jets. I just think that they've got a good defense. The Dolphins are now on their third string quarterback. The Dolphins are their season is totally falling apart. I'm going to go with the Jets to win this game. Panthers, Saints. I think the Saints, no, they're out. I keep thinking the Saints have an outside shot at a playoff spot, but they don't. They're out of the wild card race. Panthers are out. So this is a meaningless game except for draft stuff. I'll go with the Saints since it's in New Orleans. Browns, Steelers. Here's an important game because if the Patriots lose and the Dolphins lose, then the Steelers are the next team up to grab a playoff spot. They're playing the Browns. The Browns have strung together some wins here late in the season, so it'll be tough. I'm going to hesitantly go with the Steelers to win this game. And if it plays out like I'm saying, with the Bills beating the Patriots and the Jets beating the Dolphins, this would put the Steelers in the playoffs. A Steelers win plus both of those teams losing, and the Steelers are in. So what a job by Mike Tomlin, by the way. He is just a great coach. Chargers, Broncos. Broncos playing for draft position. They need to try to lose this game. Chargers have already locked up a playoff spot. I'm going to go with the Chargers to win this one. Giants, Eagles. Here's an important game. Eagles win this game, and they are the 1 seed in the NFC. But if they lose, they open the door for the Cowboys. Ultimately, I think the Eagles are going to win. I think the Giants may be resting some guys for this game. Jalen Hurts is going to be back for the Eagles. The game is in Philly. The Eagles are a 14-point favorite. They're playing another NFC playoff team, but they're a 14-point favorite. That tells me Giants probably resting guys. They're getting Jalen Hurts back. I'm going with the Eagles winning this game, locking up the 1 seed in the NFC. Cardinals, Niners. Niners. I'm trying to think if the Niners would be resting guys, but I think they still have an outside shot maybe of moving up to a 1 seed. I don't think it's too likely, but they could. So the games, I mean, San Francisco, if I'm them, I want to keep the momentum going because they've won like 8 straight games. I'd like to keep that going into the playoffs. Give me the Niners over the Cardinals. Rams, Seahawks, playoff implications on this one because if the Seahawks lose, it opens the door possibly for the Detroit Lions to get into the playoffs. Seahawks win, it eliminates the Lions, and the Seahawks have a shot as well. The Rams are horrible. I'm picking the Seahawks to win this football game and eliminate the Lions. And Seahawks will be in a position to sit back, watch the Sunday night game, and root for Detroit so that they can get in. But I'm picking Seattle over the Rams. Cowboys, Commanders. I'm going with the Cowboys to beat the Commanders. Ultimately, I don't think it's going to matter in terms of the playoffs because I think the Eagles are going to win anyway. But the Cowboys, I mean, you know, they're playing at the same time as the Eagles, so they won't know. So they'll be playing their starters. Give me the Cowboys over the Commanders. And then the Sunday nighter, Packers-Lions. Packers are in a win-and-in situation. The Packers win this game at Lambeau. They are in the playoffs. They're kind of red hot right now. And, if they lose and Seattle wins, then Seattle's the next team up. Seattle loses, then Detroit has a shot. Ultimately, no matter what happens, at Lambeau, Week 18, winning in, Aaron Rodgers, I'm taking the Packers to win this football game and get into the postseason. As unbelievable as that is, because like many of you, I thought the Packers were just left for dead at one point this season, but they're going to probably sneak in and cause some trouble in that NFC. That's how I view it. Somebody said, who do you think the starting quarterback will be for the Titans next season? Would you take Derek Carr? I would not take Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr is just another Ryan Tannehill. If you're going to go get Derek Carr, you may as well just bring Tannehill back. And let's keep in mind, that is still an option for Tennessee. They could go with Ryan Tannehill for another year. I don't know. But I don't think they need to go to Carr. I think that's it. Yeah, that's all the games. And somebody said if Baker Mayfield is available, I'd get him. I will say I personally do not want Baker Mayfield in Nashville, but, more power to you if you do. So there you go, guys. I saved the Titans-Jags game for last because you already know I'm picking the Titans. That's how I want to end the episode. I am picking the Titans to defeat the Jacksonville Jaguars tomorrow night. I think it'll be close. They're going to be down to the wire. I think Derrick Henry's going to need a huge game. I think the defense is going to have to play one of their best games of the year, and I'm going to predict that they will. And the Titans finally get a win, take the AFC South, go to the playoffs. You can't spell Duval without an L. Thank you guys for joining me. Enjoy the game. Root for your team. And hopefully things will go our way. Thank you for tuning into the Two Tone Talk podcast. Staying way too high on the wins, way too low on the losses. This podcast is available on Spotify, Apple, SoundCloud, YouTube. Go follow me on Twitter at Two Tone Talk. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel Two Tone Talk. Thank you guys. I'll see you on the other side of this game on Monday. Tighten up. See ya.
Just let loose of what's got you down. Take your worries, stomp them in the ground. Just let loose of what's got you down.